Close your eyes. Imagine the soft stillness of night. The air is cool, the stars glow like distant lanterns, and your body sinks deeper into comfort. Tonight, you will journey far back in time to the ancient land of India, where rivers whispered and palaces shone with golden light. It is here that a child was born, a boy named Siddhartha Gautama. His destiny was to become the Buddha, the awakened one. But before wisdom, before enlightenment, there was a young prince who knew nothing of sorrow, a boy whose life seemed wrapped in endless luxury. Siddhartha's father was a king, and his joy was boundless at the birth of his son. Wise men came to the palace and made predictions. This child would grow into greatness. Some said he would become a mighty king, ruling over vast lands. Others said he would renounce the world and become a spiritual teacher, guiding humanity toward truth. The king wanted only one path for his son, to be a ruler, and so he decided to shield Siddhartha from the harshness of life. He built for him a palace of beauty, with gardens where flowers bloomed year-round, music that filled the halls, and food so fine that no hunger was ever felt. Inside this golden cage, Siddhartha grew. He knew laughter, he knew comfort, but he did not know sorrow. Pain, illness, and death were hidden from him. The king believed that if Siddhartha never saw suffering, he would never turn away from royal life, and for a time, it worked. Siddhartha lived as a young prince with jewels and silk, surrounded by dancers, musicians, and teachers. He married a kind princess, Yasodhara, and together they welcomed a son. From the outside, his life seemed perfect. Yet within there was a quiet restlessness, a question that had not yet formed, but lingered, waiting. One day, Siddhartha asked to leave the palace grounds, curious about the world beyond the walls. The king hesitated, but agreed, arranging for the roads to be cleared of anything unpleasant. Yet destiny has its own rhythm. As Siddhartha rode through the streets in his chariot, he saw something he had never seen before, an old man. His skin wrinkled, his back bent, his steps unsteady. Siddhartha turned to his companion and asked, "What is this? Why does he look so weak and broken?" The companion replied softly, "This is age, my prince. All who live grow old. Even you one day will be like him." The words struck Siddhartha like a bell in a quiet hall. For the first time, he understood that beauty fades, youth passes, and time spares no one. On another journey, Siddhartha saw something new, a man groaning, his body trembling with sickness. His face was pale, his breathing heavy. Siddhartha asked again, "What is this suffering?" "This," his companion said, "is illness. All living beings, even the healthy, can fall into sickness. No one is free from it." The prince's heart trembled. He had known only health, only vitality. Now he realized that the body was fragile, vulnerable. A third time, Siddhartha ventured out. This time, the sight before him was still more shocking. A funeral procession. Men carried a lifeless body wrapped in cloth. Women wept, and the air was heavy with sorrow. "What is happening?" Siddhartha asked. "This is death, my prince. The end of life. Every person, no matter how rich, no matter how powerful, must one day die." Siddhartha's breath caught. Death, not just for others, but for him, his wife, his child. The Golden Palace could not protect them. Everything he loved was temporary. Finally, Siddhartha saw a fourth figure. A wandering monk dressed simply, carrying nothing but a bowl, his face serene. Though he owned nothing, though he walked barefoot along the dusty road, peace radiated from him. Siddhartha asked, "Who is this man, and why does he walk with such calm?" His companion answered, "He is a seeker. He has left behind worldly life to search for truth, to find freedom from suffering." Something stirred within Siddhartha, a recognition, a call. If old age, sickness, and death were unavoidable, then perhaps the answer lay in seeking what this monk sought. Peace beyond the temporary, truth beyond suffering. That night, Siddhartha lay awake in his palace. The music, the silk, the jewels all felt hollow. He looked at his wife and child with love, but also with sorrow, knowing that even their lives were fragile, destined for change. In his heart, the seed of renunciation grew. He could no longer be content in the golden cage. He longed to find what lay beyond, a way out of the cycle of birth, suffering, and death. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself beside him in that quiet palace. Imagine his restless heart not driven by despair but by compassion, by longing to find a truth that would ease the suffering of all. And remember this, the beginning of wisdom is often a question, a restlessness, a glimpse of what lies beyond comfort. Like Siddhartha, you too carry that seed within you. The palace was silent. Siddhartha walked its halls, the echoes of music still lingering, but his heart was unsettled. The four sights had changed him forever. He had seen age, sickness, and death. He had glimpsed the calm of the monk. Now the golden walls felt heavy, like chains. He looked at his wife and child sleeping peacefully. Love filled him, yet so did sorrow. He realized he could not protect them from life's truths. His love for them became his compassion for all, for every being caught in the cycle of birth and death. And so, one night, Siddhartha stepped into the darkness, mounted his horse, and left the palace behind. This was the great renunciation, not a rejection of love, but a sacrifice for truth. Siddhartha walked forests, rivers, and dusty roads. He traded silks for simple robes, jewels for an alms bowl. He met teachers who spoke of meditation, who taught methods to quiet the mind and reach deep states of stillness. For years he practiced with discipline, sitting for long hours, his breath slowing, his thoughts dissolving. He learned how the mind could expand, how inner worlds could open. Yet when he rose from meditation, suffering still remained. The answers he sought slipped like water through his hands. Determined, Siddhartha turned to a harsher path. He believed perhaps the body was the prison, and starving it would release the soul. He joined a group of ascetics and began fasting, eating so little that his bones showed through his skin. Days became weeks. Weeks became years. His strength waned until he could barely stand. He pushed himself to the edge of death, believing that by denying life, he might uncover its truth. But even then, wisdom did not come. Instead, he saw that both extremes, indulgence in the palace and denial in the forest, were unbalanced. Truth could not live in excess, nor in deprivation. It must live somewhere in between. One day, as Siddhartha sat exhausted beneath a tree, a young village girl approached. She offered him a bowl of rice milk. At first he hesitated. Accepting nourishment felt like failure, but something within whispered, "This is the way." He drank, and strength returned. In that moment, clarity dawned. The path was not self-indulgence nor self-harm, but balance. This would be called the middle way. Renewed, Siddhartha walked to a great tree, the Bodhi tree, and sat beneath its branches. He vowed, "I will not rise until I have found the truth." The night grew dark. Mara, the tempter, appeared, not as a demon outside, but as fears and doubts within. He whispered, "You are too weak. You will fail. Who are you to challenge the suffering of the world?" Visions of desire and fear swirled around Siddhartha, but he remained still. Breath by breath, thought by thought, he let them pass. His mind grew calm, his heart steady. As dawn broke, the first rays of light touched the earth, and Siddhartha's eyes opened to reality as it truly was. He saw the endless wheel of birth and death. He saw the cause of suffering, loss, craving, and attachment, and he saw the way beyond it. At that moment, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one. The dawn after his awakening was soft and golden. Birds sang in the trees, and the Bodhi tree itself seemed to glow in the new light. Siddhartha was no longer a seeker. He was now the Buddha, the awakened one. Yet, instead of keeping this peace for himself, he rose, walked the roads of India, and shared it with the world. Not in palaces, not in temples, but under trees, along rivers, in villages where people gathered. The Buddha spoke not of worshipping gods or pleasing rulers, but of something closer, something every person could touch, their own mind and heart. He taught the Four Noble Truths. Life contains suffering. Suffering has a cause, craving and attachment. Suffering can end by letting go. The way is the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right meditation. His words were simple, yet profound. They spread like ripples in water, touching kings and beggars alike. The Buddha's presence was calm, like a still lake. People who came to him felt their own hearts soften. He listened without judgment. He taught without arrogance. When asked what he had gained from enlightenment, he said gently, "Nothing. But let me tell you what I have lost: anger, anxiety, fear, and doubt." He walked barefoot, carrying only a bowl, relying on the kindness of strangers. His wealth was peace. His kingdom was compassion. His power was understanding. As years passed, disciples gathered around him. They carried his teachings far and wide, across mountains, rivers, and centuries. His words became lanterns guiding countless souls. Even after his body left the earth, his presence remained, in temples, in stories, in the silence of meditation. And now, as you rest tonight, let Buddha's story become your comfort. He began as a prince, surrounded by pleasure. He became a seeker, facing hardship, and he ended as a teacher, offering peace to the world. His journey mirrors your own, from innocence, through struggle, into wisdom. His lesson is this: peace is not outside of you, it is within. It is found not in wealth, not in denial, but in balance, in the middle way. So as your breath rises and falls, imagine you are sitting under the Bodhi tree. Feel the earth steady beneath you, the branches above sheltering you, the dawn light warming you. Whatever worries you carried today, let them go. Whatever fears whisper in your mind, let them fade. You are safe. You are guided. You are resting in the same peace that Buddha found. Imagine the quiet of a Roman night. The marble streets glisten under lantern light, and the hum of the city has faded into stillness. In the distance, the Tiber flows steadily, its waters reflecting the stars above. Within the palace walls, a boy lies awake, not dreaming of feasts or triumphs, but listening to the silence. This boy would become Marcus Aurelius, a man remembered not only as an emperor, but as a philosopher whose wisdom still soothes hearts centuries later. Marcus was born into privilege, yet from the beginning he was different. Where other children chased games and laughter, Marcus was drawn to reflection. He preferred books, questions, and the company of mentors. His teachers were Stoics, philosophers who taught him that life's storms could be met with calm, that the mind was stronger than circumstance, and that virtue was the highest good. They reminded him, you cannot control what happens outside you, but you can always control how you respond. Even as a child, Marcus would sit quietly, breathing slowly, imagining himself as a steady rock in a rushing river. These small practices prepared him for the great storms ahead. As he grew, fate led Marcus toward power. Adopted into the imperial family trained for leadership, he was chosen as heir. Yet his heart was not eager for the throne. He would have preferred a life of study and quiet reflection, but he accepted his duty with humility. When the crown rested upon his head, he felt not pride but weight, the heavy weight of responsibility. To him, being emperor was not about glory, but service. He whispered to himself at night, "Remember, Marcus, you are a man, not a god. Serve the people, serve reason, serve truth." Even in these early years, Marcus carried a notebook. By lamplight, he would write short reminders to himself, never meant for others to see. These writings would one day become his meditations. He wrote to guard his soul. Do not be carried away by anger. Do not chase pleasure, it will not last. Remember, you will die, so live with virtue while you can. These simple words became his shield. Just as Dulkarnain built a wall against chaos, Marcus built a wall within himself, a wall of thought, patience, and calm. As you lie here tonight, think of the young Marcus Aurelius, a boy who sought wisdom instead of luxury, calm instead of chaos. He did not see his crown as a prize, but as a burden to be carried with grace. Like him, you too can carry your own burdens gently. You too can build your wall of calm brick by brick with patience and understanding. Breathe deeply and let his words echo within you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let that thought be your pillow tonight, steadying your heart as you drift into peaceful sleep. Marcus Aurelius did not inherit an easy throne. His reign was marked by turmoil. On the empire's borders, enemies pressed, demanding constant defense. Within Rome, a plague spread, bringing grief and fear to countless families. Even among his closest allies, betrayal sometimes lurked. But through it all, Marcus faced storms not with rage, but with calm. He reminded himself, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Each trial became his teacher, each loss a reminder of life's impermanence. At night, when the armies rested, Marcus would sit alone in his tent, a single lamp burning. He wrote not for glory nor for others, but for himself. These notes became what we now call meditations. In them, he guided his own soul. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. They were not commands to his people, but whispers to himself, a way to hold steady against the weight of empire. Marcus was not untouched by sorrow. He lost children to illness. He watched friends fall in battle. He endured betrayal. Yet he carried his grief with dignity, knowing that suffering is woven into the fabric of human life. To himself he wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." These words did not erase his pain, but they gave him the courage to keep walking, one step at a time through the storms. What made Marcus Aurelius unique was not his crown, but his heart. He saw leadership not as command, but as service. He taught by example, patience in hardship, humility in power, calm in chaos. He knew wealth and fame were fleeting, but virtue endured. And so he reminded himself daily, do not waste what remains of your life in dwelling on what others do or say. Keep to what is truly your own work. As you rest tonight, imagine Marcus alone in his tent, the empire heavy on his shoulders, yet his mind steady, his pen scratching gently across parchment. He did not deny pain. He did not escape responsibility, but he chose to face both with calm. And so, his lesson for you tonight is this. When storms rise in your life, remember the lamp of Marcus Aurelius. Remember that peace is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of calm within you. Breathe deeply, and let that calm become your shield as sleep gathers you. Marcus Aurelius ruled not as a man hungry for power, but as a student of wisdom. He saw the throne not as a gift, but as a trial. Each day tested his patience, each decision weighed his soul, yet he returned always to the same truth. Virtue is enough. Even as he wore a crown, he reminded himself he was only a man. Dust, breath, and thought. Nothing more, nothing less. And in this humility lay his strength. In his meditations, Marcus left us fragments of his nightly reflections, words written not for the world, but for himself. Reminders whispered in the dark. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. These are not the words of a conqueror, but of a soul seeking balance, urging us to live simply, with gratitude. As the years wore on, Marcus reflected more and more on time itself. He saw how emperors before him had risen and fallen, how wealth turned to dust, how names faded into silence, and so he wrote, "Consider how swiftly all things pass away and are gone. The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." This was his gift to us, a reminder that nothing lasts forever, not sorrow, not joy, not even life. And because nothing lasts, each moment is precious. Each breath is enough. Now, as you rest, imagine yourself in the Roman camp with Marcus. The stars stretch endlessly above, the fire burns softly, and the emperor sits with his scroll, writing by lamplight. He pauses, looks up at the sky, and breathes deeply, the same way you breathe now. Let his words become your lullaby. You are stronger than your fears. You need only focus on what is within your control. The present moment is enough. Peace begins in the mind. So let go of today's worries, as Marcus let go of battles at the end of the day. Let go of tomorrow's fears, as he reminded himself that the future is only imagination. Rest now in the eternal present, where peace lives. Breathe deeply, and let your thoughts grow still. Imagine Marcus Aurelius beside you, steady as the stars whispering softly. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Tonight, let them be calm. Tonight, let them be kind. Tonight, let them bring you peace. and with those words drift into sleep, carrying the wisdom of the philosopher king. Imagine the stillness of a warm night in ancient Jerusalem. The moonlight drapes over stone walls, the lamps glow in quiet courtyards, and the desert wind carries a hush across the land. The people sleep, but within the palace, a young king walks alone, his heart heavy with the weight of a crown. This is Solomon, son of David, heir to a throne, chosen to guide a nation. He is young, untested, and the kingdom he has inherited is vast, filled with both promise and challenge. And so begins his story, not with riches, not with power, but with a question whispered into the night. Solomon knew what it meant to stand in the shadow of greatness. His father David had been a warrior and a poet, a man of victories and songs. The people loved David, and now their eyes turned to Solomon, expecting the same strength, the same brilliance. But Solomon was not his father. He was quieter, gentler, a thinker more than a fighter. And so, as he stepped into the role of king, he felt a restlessness, a sense that his own strength was not enough. One night, Solomon travelled to the sacred place of Gibeon, where offerings were made to the divine. That night, in a dream, the voice of God came to him. "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." The question was vast, like a door opening into eternity. Imagine for a moment if you were given that choice. Riches, long life, victory over enemies, all the desires of the world laid before you. But Solomon's heart spoke differently. He answered, "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." He did not ask for gold, he did not ask for power, he asked for wisdom, and God was pleased. "Because you have asked for this," the voice replied, "and not for wealth or death to your enemies, I will give you a wise and discerning heart, and more, I will give you riches and honour, so that no king will compare to you in all your days." When Solomon awoke, the dream was alive within him. From that day forward, his words carried a depth that seemed beyond human understanding. His people saw it. They felt it. A new era was beginning. But wisdom is not just a gift. It is a responsibility. Every day, people came to Solomon with disputes, with fears, with questions that demanded judgment. And though his heart was calm, the weight was real. He knew that each decision rippled outward, shaping the lives of thousands. It was in these early days that the moment came, the test that would forever mark him as the wise king. But that, my friend, is for the next part of the story. The city of Jerusalem stirred with life. Merchants called in the marketplace, children laughed in the streets, and the sound of prayer rose from every corner. But within the palace, a hush gathered, for the people had come to their king, Solomon, seeking judgment. And so begins one of the most well-known moments of his reign, a moment that would echo across time as a symbol of wisdom. Two women were brought before Solomon, each holding the same plea. A child had died in the night, and each woman claimed the living infant as her own. Their voices rose in desperation, each swearing truth, each demanding justice. The court was tense. Who was the true mother? How could anyone know? But Solomon sat quietly, his eyes steady, his heart calm. Then he spoke. "Bring me a sword, divide the child in two, give half to one and half to the other." A gasp filled the hall. The soldiers hesitated, unsure if they had heard correctly. But before they could move, one woman cried out, "No, my lord, do not harm the child. Give him to her instead, only let him live." The other remained silent. And Solomon knew. He rose and declared, "This is the true mother, for her compassion proves her love." The child was returned, unharmed, to his rightful mother. And the people marvelled, saying, "The wisdom of God is within him to administer justice." From that day, Solomon's name spread far and wide. Leaders and wanderers came to hear his judgments, to test his insight, to learn from his words. But Solomon's wisdom was not only in dramatic judgments, it was in his patience, his ability to listen deeply, to see beyond appearances. He guided his people with fairness, building trust not through fear, but through understanding. He undertook the great work of building the temple, a sacred place of worship, a house of peace. He organized his kingdom with order, prosperity, and harmony, and through it all his words became proverbs, small jewels of wisdom that sparkled with eternal truth. He taught that wisdom was more precious than gold, that a gentle word could turn away wrath, and that pride often led to downfall. Better a little with peace of mind than great wealth with turmoil. A gentle tongue is a tree of life. Wisdom lights the path, but folly stumbles in darkness. His words carried the power of kings, yet also the softness of a teacher. Years passed, and Solomon's reign grew. His kingdom flourished, his halls filled with wealth, and his wisdom drew travellers from distant lands. Yet, in the quiet moments of his later years, Solomon turned inward. He looked at life not only as a king, but as a man, reflecting on what endures and what fades. Solomon's words became collections of proverbs, each a lantern to light the path of those who came after him. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. These sayings were short, but their depth was endless. Each proverb carried the weight of a life lived with reflection, reminding people that wisdom was not hidden in palaces, but in choices made each day. But Solomon also wrote words of melancholy beauty collected in Ecclesiastes. Here he spoke not as a king, but as a seeker. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. He had tasted wealth, power, and honour, yet he saw their impermanence. He reflected that life was fleeting, that joy and sorrow, gain and loss, all passed like smoke. Yet within this truth he found peace. If all is passing, then one should live simply, with gratitude for each moment. There is a time for everything, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. These words remind us that rhythm governs all things, that change is not to be feared, but embraced. And so, Solomon's final lesson is this. Wisdom is not about knowing everything, it is about seeing clearly. It is about living in balance, choosing peace, and remembering that true riches are not measured in gold, but in understanding. As you rest tonight, let Solomon's wisdom be a pillow for your mind. Imagine the king, old and thoughtful, sitting beneath the stars of Jerusalem, whispering his proverbs into the night. Imagine his calm voice reminding you, better is wisdom than weapons of war. A gentle answer turns away wrath. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. As you rest tonight, let Solomon's wisdom be a pillow for your mind. Imagine the king, old and thoughtful, sitting beneath the stars of Jerusalem, whispering his proverbs into the night. Imagine his calm voice reminding you, better is wisdom than weapons of war. A gentle answer turns away wrath. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Now let those words soften your heart. Whatever burdens you carried today, let them go. Whatever worries await tomorrow, let them wait. Tonight is a time for rest, for peace, for trust that wisdom itself watches over you. Like Solomon, you can see clearly. You can choose calm over chaos, peace over pride, love over fear. Drift now into dreams, carrying the eternal light of wisdom within you. Let the night carry you across deserts and mountains into a time when the world was vast and mysterious, filled with lands unknown and peoples unseen. Stars lit the skies like watchful eyes, and the earth stretched endlessly beneath the feet of travellers. Among those travellers was a man chosen by destiny, a man known as Dul-Qarnayn. Some called him a king, others a conqueror, others still a servant of the divine. He was not like other rulers who sought power for themselves. His journeys were not for greed, but for guidance, for justice, and for protecting the weak. Dul-Qarnayn travelled to the far west, where the sun seemed to dip into the ocean. He found people living on the edge of the earth, and he dealt with them in fairness, ruling with justice and compassion. Then he journeyed eastward, to lands where the sun rose on people with little shelter. Again, he acted with wisdom, bringing balance where there was need. But his greatest trial awaited him in the far north, in a place between two great mountains, where the people lived in fear of a force they could not control. When Dul-Qarnayn reached this land, the people came to him with trembling voices. "O Dul-Qarnayn," they said, "between these mountains are tribes of terror, Yajuj and Majuj. They spill across our land in countless numbers, consuming everything in their path, leaving only destruction. They eat our harvest, they trample our homes, they show no mercy. Build for us a barrier between them and us, and we will pay you tribute." The fear in their eyes was clear, but so too was their hope, for they believed Dul-Qurnayn carried the strength of the divine. But Dul-Qurnayn did not seek riches. He replied, "What my lord has given me is better than what you offer. Lend me your strength, and together we will build a barrier." And so, under his command, the people worked with iron and molten copper, stacking blocks between the mountains, creating a wall so high and strong that Ya'juj and Ma'juj could not climb it, nor break through it. When the work was done, Dul-Qurnayn looked upon the wall and said, "This is a mercy from my lord, but when the promise of my lord comes to pass, he will level it to the ground, and the promise of my lord is true." For generations after Dul-Qurnayn, the wall stood tall between the mountains. Behind it lived Ya'juj and Ma'juj, countless in number, restless and relentless. It is said they were like waves of chaos, spreading wherever they went. They consumed without thought, destroyed without mercy, leaving lands barren and broken. Their numbers were beyond counting. When one fell, 10 more would rise. The people believed that as long as the barrier stood, they were safe. But they also knew the words of Dul-Qurnayn, "When the promise of my lord comes, the wall will fall." Ya'juj and Ma'juj are often described not only as tribes of flesh and blood, but also as symbols. They represent the forces of chaos, the parts of humanity that are wild and unrestrained. Greed, anger, corruption, the hunger that never ends. Where Dul-Qurnayn brought order, they brought disorder. Where he built walls of iron, they tore down harmony. And so their story is not just about distant tribes, but about the struggle within every soul. The scriptures tell that near the end of time the barrier will crumble. Ya'juj and Ma'juj will surge forth like a flood, overwhelming the earth. They will swarm over mountains and valleys, devouring resources, leaving only ruin. The people will cry out and divine help will come. Their destruction will not come from human swords, but from the power of the one who first contained them. And so their release is both a test and a reminder that human power alone cannot control chaos forever. Only faith, patience, and divine guidance can. But beyond the prophecy, the story whispers something more personal. Each of us carries a kind of Ya'juj and Ma'juj within, desires unrestrained, thoughts that scatter like armies, impulses that overwhelm reason. The wall Dul-Qurnayn built is also the wall we must build inside, the discipline of the mind, the strength of the spirit, the faith that guards us from being consumed by our own chaos. Imagine yourself with Dul-Qurnayn standing before that great iron wall, behind it the roar of chaos, before it the calm of faith, and within you the choice to build your own barrier of peace. Breathe deeply and let that barrier guard your rest. Generations passed, and the wall of Dul-Qurnayn stood strong. Behind it, Ya'juj and Ma'juj pressed and clawed, but they could not cross. For the people, the wall was more than iron. It was a symbol of divine mercy. It reminded them that even in the face of overwhelming chaos, there is protection when faith is strong. But Dul-Qurnayn's warning lingered. When the promise of my lord comes, he will level it to the ground. The people knew the wall was not forever. It was mercy for a time, but not a substitute for trust in the Creator. It is told that in the last days, when the world nears its appointed end, the barrier will crumble. Ya'juj and Ma'juj will pour out like a flood, covering the earth in numbers too great to resist. Their chaos will be unmatched, and humanity will feel helpless before them. But their rise will also be their fall, for they will only move as long as divine wisdom allows. Just as they were contained once, they will be destroyed not by human effort, but by the command of the Almighty. This is the prophecy, and yet it carries more than fear. It carries a reminder that no force of destruction is beyond the reach of divine power. Beyond prophecy, there is a truth for every soul. Ya'juj and Ma'juj are not only tribes of the earth, but also forces within the heart. They are the desires that never rest, the impulses that overwhelm reason, the greed that consumes without end. Each of us must build our own barrier, just as Dul-Qurnayn built his, not of iron, but of patience, not of copper, but of discipline, not of stone, but of faith. And each night, As you lay your head to rest, you are building that wall again, choosing calm over chaos, trust over fear, peace over unrest. So tonight, let the story of Yajuj and Majuj become more than history. Let it be your meditation. Imagine the great wall between the mountains, standing tall against the roar of chaos. Imagine it not only before you, but within you, a barrier of light around your heart protecting your dreams. Whatever storms try to rise in your mind, they cannot cross this wall. Whatever restless thoughts press against you, they cannot break through. You are guarded. You are safe. Breathe deeply now and let this image cradle you. The stillness of the night, the strength of the wall, the peace of faith. Remember, chaos may exist, but it does not rule you. Like Dulkarnain, you have been given the strength to face it, to contain it, to rise above it. And as your eyes grow heavier, let your inner wall shine bright, holding back all fears until only peace remains. Sleep now in the mercy of that protection and awaken renewed.
Stars scatter across the sky like silver lanterns, and a soft wind whispers through ancient lands. Tonight, you are not in the noise of the modern world. You are stepping into another time, a world of poetry, wisdom, and the gentle presence of a soul who saw the universe not as chaos, but as music. His name was Rumi, and his story begins in the dust of the 13th century, in lands where caravans crossed deserts and cities glowed with lantern light. Rumi was born in Balkh, a place alive with scholars, merchants, and mystics. His father was a teacher, a man of great wisdom, who guided young Rumi with kindness. From his earliest days, Rumi was surrounded by words of prayer, philosophy, and poetry. But more than study, Rumi learned the rhythm of silence. He would often sit quietly watching the world move, the way clouds drifted, the way markets buzzed, the way people laughed and wept. In silence, he began to feel that life itself was a story unfolding. When he was still young, his family left Balkh and traveled far. They walked through mountains and deserts, stopping in villages where strangers became friends, and in cities where Rumi listened to the teachings of wise men. It was on this journey that he began to sense something greater than books and lessons. He felt the presence of what he would later call the beloved, a love that lived in everything. Years passed and Rumi grew into a man of knowledge. In Konya, where his family settled, he became a respected teacher. Students gathered around him, eager to learn from his wisdom. He could explain law, scripture, and philosophy with clarity. People admired his intelligence, his calm authority, and his gentle heart. But Rumi, though wise, still felt a hidden longing. He was like a bird who knew how to fly, yet yearned for wind that carried him higher. And then one day, destiny moved. Rumi met a wandering dervish named Shams of Tabriz. Shams was unlike anyone Rumi had ever known. He spoke with fire in his eyes, challenging Rumi to look beyond knowledge and see life itself as divine poetry. Shams asked him, "What is worth more, the words on a page or the fire that burns within the heart?" This question shook Rumi's world. All his years of study seemed like rivers, but Shams pointed to the ocean. From that day, Rumi was no longer the same. He began to see God not as distant, but as present in every face, every song, every whisper of the wind. He would walk through markets and see love hidden in the laughter of children. He would hear a drum beat and feel the universe dancing. This is how the poet was born. Rumi began to write verses that poured like water from a hidden spring. Each word carried not just meaning, but music. He wrote, "Stop acting so small. You're the universe in ecstatic motion." And so, as you lie here tonight, remember Rumi's beginning. A boy born to wisdom, a man respected for knowledge, and then awakened by a meeting that changed everything. His story teaches us that life will always bring us mirrors, people and moments that show us there is more. Rumi's lesson is simple. There is always a deeper love waiting beneath the surface of things. And when we awaken to it, life is no longer a series of events. It becomes a dance. Let this thought guide you into rest tonight, that you too are part of this dance, that within your own heart, the beloved whispers, waiting for you to notice. After meeting Shams, Rumi's heart was like a door suddenly flung open. Words poured out of him, not like lessons, but like rivers of music. His students who once came for rigid philosophy now sat in awe as Rumi spoke in verses that lit their souls. He no longer taught from books. He taught from the fire within. He wrote of longing, of the divine beloved, of the dance between the human soul and eternity. His lines carried the fragrance of roses, the silence of stars, and the cry of hearts that yearn for unity. Try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if it feels like winter. Who knows what spring waits beneath? Rumi's transformation gave birth to a new practice. In moments of ecstasy, he would begin to turn, slowly, gently, his arms reaching outward as if to embrace the sky. Around him, his students began to join, turning in rhythm, spinning with grace. This became the dance of the whirling dervishes. A meditation in motion, a prayer expressed in movement. Their spinning symbolized the orbit of planets, the flow of love, the rhythm of surrender. With every turn, the ego dissolved, leaving only the presence of the beloved. Even today, centuries later, that dance still carries Rumi's breath, reminding us that love is not static. It is a motion, a rhythm, a surrender. But rhythm flows both ways. One day Shams disappeared. Some say he was killed, others that he vanished into the mystery of God. Whatever the truth, Rumi's heart shattered. Yet even in sorrow he found poetry. His grief became verses that echoed across centuries. Where another might have turned bitter, Rumi turned deeper into love. He discovered that the beloved he sought in Shams was not gone. It lived within him, within everything. He wrote, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." As years passed, Rumi continued to write. Thousands of verses poured from him, creating the Mathnawi, called the Quran in Persian. His poems spread across lands, across centuries, reaching hearts far beyond his own time. His legacy was not just words, but a way of seeing that love is the essence of all things, that surrender is strength, and that the divine is as close as your own breath. And now as you lie here, let his story become your comfort. Rumi's life was not without pain, but he transformed every shadow into poetry. He turned longing into love, loss into surrender, movement into prayer. Tonight, his lesson whispers to you. Whatever happens in life, you can meet it with love. Every loss, every joy, every silence is a doorway to the beloved. So as your body grows heavy and your mind softens into sleep, remember that you are not small, not forgotten, not alone. You are part of the same rhythm that spun Rumi into dance. You are a verse in the same poetry, written by the hand of eternity.